let's discuss about dining philosopher's problem. Okay, uh, you see here, I have drawn some. I have drawn a figure. I'll try to explain you what exactly it is. You see, there is one dining table. Okay, this is a round dining table. Okay, and at the four sides, four philosophers are sitting. Okay, and they want to have their lunch or dinner, whatever they want to have their meal. Okay, so you see, uh, in order to take the meal, okay, in order to eat the meal, each philosopher will use two forks. Okay, fork means like it's like spoon. Okay, so each philosopher will use two forks. Okay, so here you see, in order to complete the meal, a philosopher will use two forks. One is at the left, one fork will be at the left hand side and the other fork will be at the right hand side. Okay, so here basically what will happen, you might have seen in the foreign country, or in a high society, people, they take their meal with fork, knife, spoon. Okay, so they basically they use both their hands. Okay, they just hold the fork like this and just eat like this. Okay, so here also the same thing is happening. Okay, so two forks are being used by one philosopher. So here what is the condition? The condition is that each philosopher will pick the left fork first, after that right fork. Okay, let me write here. Each philosopher, each philosopher, each philosopher will pick left fork first. Fine. Left fork first. After that, right fork. Okay. So first, let's talk about this philosopher. He will pick this fork first. After that, he will pick this fork. Similarly, this philosopher, he will pick this fork first. Okay. After that, this fork. Okay. Similarly, this philosopher will pick this fork first, and after that, this fork. Okay. So these things will happen. Okay. So, and the other condition is that a process will release both the forks. Okay, a process will release both the forks after having their meal. Okay, after having their meal, a process will release both the forks. So let me write here, process will release both the forks after having meal. Okay, after having meal, okay, for the time being, you just understand, each philosopher will release both the forks only after having the meal. Okay, so let's see what's the problem in this figure. So he is philosopher 1, or you can see process 1, process 2, process 3. Okay, let me use the term philosopher. Okay, so now what we'll see here, you see, let's start with the philosopher P1. Okay, so in order to have the meal, philosopher 1 will pick this fork first. Okay, he will pick this fork first, after that he will pick this fork, because from the philosopher, what is at the left hand side from the philosopher? This fork, let me write here, this side is LHS from this philosopher, and this one is RHS. Okay, and for this philosopher, uh, yeah, this is LHS and this is RHS. Okay, and from this philosopher, this is LHS, this is RHS, and from this side, uh, yeah, and from this side, this one is RHS and this one is LHS. LR, 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 like this. Okay, so you see, now what is the condition? Each philosopher will pick left fork first. So here, this philosopher P1 will pick this philosopher, will pick this fork first. So now he has taken this fork. Okay. So now this fork belongs to the philosopher P1. Okay. So, and after that, let's come to this philosopher. Okay. So this philosopher will pick this fork first, because from this philosopher, this fork is at the left hand side. So now this fork will belong to this philosopher. Similarly, this fork will belong to this philosopher. Okay. This philosopher. Fine. And now this fork will belong to this philosopher. Okay. So now you can see that all the forks have been occupied. One fork has been occupied by each philosopher. Okay. So what is the problem? The problem is that in order to have the lunch, in order to complete the dinner, a philosopher should have two forks. Okay. But here you see all the philosopher has taken only one fork. Oh, fine. Because you see, when philosopher 1, he took the first fork, he took the left fork, but when he tried to take the right fork, but you see the right fork is already occupied by philosopher P4. Okay. And here you see philosopher P2, he took the left fork first, but when he tried to take the right fork, okay, when he tried to take the right fork, he was not successful. Why? Because the right fork is occupied by the philosopher P1. Why? Because this right fork is at the left hand side from the philosopher P1. Fine. And also, and same thing here for philosopher P3, he took the left fork, but when he tried to take the right fork, he saw that the right fork, this one, is occupied by the philosopher P2. And same for P4 also. P4 took the left fork, but when he tried to occupy the right fork, he saw that the right fork is already occupied by processor P3. So you see here, all the philosophers are deadlocked. All the philosophers are in a deadlock position. Why? Because all the philosophers are have taken only one fork, and they are waiting for each other to release the forks. But unfortunately, this will never happen, because a philosopher will release both the forks after having the meal. But here you see, none of the philosopher can complete the meal. So none of the processor, why none of the philosopher can complete the meal? Because in order to complete the meal, a philosopher will need two forks. They have already taken their left fork. Okay. But they can't take the right fork. So they can't have the meal. And since they can't complete the meal, so they will not release the fork. So it means what? All are in a deadlock position. So I hope you got it. Okay. So now you see, what is the solution to this problem? Because all are in a deadlocked state. What is the solution to this problem? Just think. You see here, if I change the rule for for philosopher P4, then what will happen? Let's change the rule for philosopher P4. Okay. You see what will happen. Here you see what I have said, that each philosopher will pick left fork first, after that right fork. Okay. But for philosopher P4, let's change the rule. What? For philosopher P4, what we will do, he will pick the right fork first. Okay. Right fork first. And after that, he will pick the left fork. So let's see what is the advantage of this. Let's see. So philosopher P4 will try to pick the right fork first, okay, but here you see, and only after picking the right fork first, this philosopher can pick the left fork. Okay, I mean to say that this philosopher P4 will have to pick this first, will have to pick right fork first, after that he can pick the left fork. If he doesn't pick the right fork first, then he also can't pick the left fork. Okay, so now you see what will happen, that since the rule is changed for philosopher P4, definitely he will try to pick this left fork first. Sorry, he will try to pick this right fork first, but you see the right fork is already occupied by processor P3. This right fork is already, just see the arrow mark, this right fork is already occupied by processor P3. So it means what? He is unable to take the take this right fork. Okay, so since he is unable to take this fork, so he can't pick this fork, because he could pick this fork only after taking this fork. Okay, since he can't take this fork, so he can't take this fork also. So it means what? This fork is free, this fork is free, and since this fork is free, so what will happen? Let's come to philosopher P1. What he will do? He have already occupied his left fork. So after that, what is the rule for philosopher P1, P2 and P3? Each philosopher will pick left fork first, after that right fork. So he has already taken the left fork, after that he will take the right fork. Okay, and since this time the right fork is free, now he can happily take the right fork. Okay, and now you see, since he has taken both these forks, so now he can complete his lunch, he can complete his meal. Okay, so suppose he has completed his meal, fine, and since he has completed his meal, so definitely he will leave the table, he will leave the fork. What is the point of occupying the forks, plate, table if you have completed your meal? You just leave all the forks so that it can be used by the other philosophers. So since he has completed his meal, why? How? Because he has occupied both the forks. So he has successfully completed his meal. So the task of P1 is over. So the task of P1 is completed. Okay. So now he will leave both the forks. Okay. So now both these forks are free this time. Okay. So his task is over. So now both these forks are free this time. Okay. And now you see, let's come to process P2. So process P2 had already occupied this fork. So definitely he will try to occupy the right fork. Okay. And since the right fork is free, so now he can happily take the right fork. Okay. And since the philosopher P2 has taken both the forks, so now he can complete his meal. Okay, and if he has completed his meal, then he will leave both the forks. Okay, so now the task of P2 is over. Okay, and now P2 will leave both the forks. Okay, because there is no point of occupying the resources if your task is finished. Okay, you have to leave the resource. So let's come to philosopher P3. You see here, philosopher P3 has already occupied this left fork, and now he will take this fork. Okay, he will take this right fork, and since the right fork is also free, so now he can occupy the right fork. Okay, and since philosopher P3 has occupied both these forks, so now he can complete his meal. And suppose if he has completed its task, he has completed its meal, so now he will leave both these forks. Okay, so now both these forks are free. So now let's come to the philosopher P4. Here philosopher P4, what he will do? Since both these forks are free for philosopher P4, so now philosopher P4 can happily take his meal. So in this way, you see, the problem can be solved. Okay. So what is the solution of the problem? For the last process, here P4 is the last process, just change the rule. What will be the rule? Just reverse the rule. Okay. The philosopher P4 will take right fork first. Only after taking the right fork, he can take the left fork. Okay. If you change the rule for process P4, then the problem is solved. Okay. So that's all about dining philosopher's problem. Okay. So now let me explain you in terms of the mutex variable. Okay. So you see, suppose there are 4 processes. Okay. P0, P1, P2 and P3. Okay. So all these processes wants to enter inside the critical section. Fine. Or you can say that all these there are 4 philosophers, P0, P1, P2, P3. All these philosophers want to have their meal. Okay. So in order to have their meal, what will happen? They will apply wait operation on the mutex variable M0. Okay. After that, they will apply wait operation on mutex variable M1. So this is the code for process P0. Fine. So now let's write the code for process P1. Okay. Pm of 1, Pm of 2. Okay. Then Pm of 2. Let's say we will apply wait operation on M3. And now for process P3, let's write P of M3, and he will apply its next wait operation on M0, suppose. Okay. So here you can see I have written the codes for each processes. Process P0 has to execute this code, process P1 has to execute this code, process P2 has to execute this code, and process P3 has to execute this code. Okay. So here you can see it's a clear case of deadlock. If you watch my previous video of GATE 2000, okay, there I've explained it's a clear case of deadlock. But don't worry, here I'm going to explain you again. Here you see process P0 will try to execute wait operation on M0. Okay, the value of M0, M1, M2, M3 all are 1. Okay, he will try to apply wait operation on M0. So he will make it as 0, and after that process P0 will come here. Fine. And same thing process P1 will do. He will apply wait operation on M1. So process P1 will make M1 as 0, and after that process P1 will come here. Same thing P2 will do. Process P2 will apply wait operation on M2. He will make it as 0, and after that process P2 will come here. And after that process P3 will come. Process P3 will do the same thing. He will apply wait operation here. Okay, wait operation on M3, and now process P3 will come here. Fine. Now if CPU is again given to process P0, okay, so he will try to execute this code, but he will get blocked. Why? Because the value of M1 is 0. That's why if he will apply wait operation on M1 and also the value of M1 is 0, then he will get blocked. Okay, so same for process P1 also. When he will try to execute this line, okay, the value of M2 is also 0. Okay, when CPU is given to process P1, and process P1 will start from here, okay, because he has executed up to here, so he will start from here. So when he will apply wait operation on M2, then he will get blocked. Why? Because the value of M2 is 0. Same for process P2. P2 will also get blocked, and same process P3 will also get blocked. Why? Because when P3 will try to apply wait operation on M of 0, and since here you see M of 0 is 0, so wait on 0 is always blocked. So here you see all the processes are blocked. But remember from the case of dining philosopher's problem, there in that case, what was the solution when there was a deadlock? Here you can see there is a deadlock because all the processes are locked at their respective position. Okay, and in dining philosophers problem, we also encountered the deadlock situation. But what was the solution? The solution was that change the rule, just reverse the rule for the last process. If all these processes except the last process, if all the remaining processes occupy left fork first, after that right fork, then just change the rule for process P4, last process. He will occupy the right fork first, after that he will occupy the left fork. Okay. So same thing here we will also do. Okay. What we will do? We will change the rule for process P3. Okay. What rule? You see, just reverse this. Okay. So here what I will write here M0 first and I will write here M3. Initially it was M3, then M0. I have just swapped it. Okay, I have just swapped it. So let's see how this solution, how this thing will help to overcome the deadlock situation. Let's see. So just watch it. It's very interesting topic. Okay. Let me remove all this. You see, all the processes are initialized as 1. Okay, I am starting from the beginning. Okay, the only thing that I have changed it, I have just swapped these two lines. Okay, initially it was M3, M1, M0. Now I have written M0, M3. Okay, so now let's start. Process P0 will apply CPUs with process P0. Process P0 will apply wait operation on M0. So it will make it as 0. And after that process P0 comes here. Okay, there is a context switching CPU is given to process P1. So process P1 will apply wait operation on M1. So it will make it as 0, and after that process P1 will come here. Okay, context switching, and now CPU is given to process P2. Same process P2 will do. Process P2 will apply wait operation on M2. It will make it as 0, and after that process P2 comes here. Okay, and after that you see, if the context switching is happened and CPU is given to process P3, so what process P3 will do? Process P3 will try to execute this code PM of 0, but here you see what's the problem. The problem is that this M of 0 is equal to 0. It has been made 0 by process P0. Okay, so it means what? Process P3 will block here. It can't successfully execute this code. So process P3 is blocked here. Fine. So now suppose if CPU is given back to process P0, so process P0 will try to execute this code. Okay, because process P0 have executed up to here, so process P0 will execute this code PM of 1, but M of 1 is also 0. So still you see here process P0 is blocked. Okay, now if the context switching is happened and now CPU is given back to process P1, so process P1 will execute this line P of M2. Since M2 is 0, so also P1 is also blocked. And now here you see, if CPU is given to process P2, now you see what will happen. Process P2 have already executed this line, so he will start from here. Okay, so what he will do, he will execute P of M3, but here you see M3 is 1. Okay, M3 is 1. Since the value of M3 is 1, so it means what? Process P2 will successfully execute wait operation here. So process P2 will make it as 0. Fine, and after that process P2 will enter the critical section. Here there is a critical section. Fine. So process P2 have successfully entered the critical section. Okay, so how it happened? Because here you see the value of M3 was 1. That's why. Because here P3 could not execute wait operation on M3 successfully. That's why. Because P3 was blocked at this point. Since P3 could not apply wait operation on M3, so the value of M3 remained as 1. So that it was later used by process P2. Okay, so process P2 could get the entry inside the critical section. Fine. And now process P2 has got the entry inside the critical section, and process P2 has completed its task. Okay, so same thing you see. After reversing the last two lines code for the last process, the problem is getting solved. Process P2 has entered the critical section. Okay, now just imagine he is a philosopher P2. Okay, So he has completed its dinner. Okay, so definitely he will leave the resources, he will leave his forts. Okay, so now he will since he has utilized the mutex variable m2 and m3, now he will leave these variables, thereby giving the signal to m2 and m3. So now m2 and m3 will become 1 again. Why? Because the task of P2 is over, so he have left the resources M2 and M3. So now M2 and M3 is available to be used again. So now it has again become 1 through the signal given by P2. Okay. So now since M2 and M3 are 1, so now let's see what will happen now. Suppose if CPU is given to uh, P1 or P3, either P1 or P3. Let's say CPU is given to process P1. Okay, process P1. Fine. Not to P3, but to P1. Okay. So what will happen? Process P1 will execute this line because process P1 was blocked here. So process P1 will execute this line P of M2. So what will happen? Process P1 will, here you see the value of M2 has become 1 again. Okay. So now process P1 will make it as 0. Fine. And after that process P1 will successfully enter the critical section. Okay. So now process P1 is inside the critical section and the task of process P1 is over. So he will leave the resources M1 and M2 so that it can be used by the other processes. So now he will leave the resources M1 and M2. So he will give signal to M1 and M2. So now M1 and M2 will become 1. Fine. So now it can be used by the other processes. Okay. So now suppose if CPU is given back to process P0. Okay. So what will happen? Process P0 will start from here. Fine. Process P0 will start from here. So now this time process P0 will see the mutex variable is 1. Okay. So this time process P0 will successfully execute P of M1. So now M1 will become 0 and now process P0 will also enter the critical section. Fine. So here you can see that process P0 has entered the critical section and now process P0 has completed its task. So process P0 will leave the mutex variable M0 and M1 so that it can be used by the other processes. So now he will give signal to M0 and M1. Okay. So now M0 will become 1 again. Fine. And also M1 will become 1. Fine. So now only one process is blocked here, P3. So this time P3 could successfully enter the critical. Why? Because P3 is the only process left to be entered inside the critical section, and moreover you see M0 and M3 both are 1. So P3 will successfully execute down operation on M0 and M3. Let's see how. P of M0, M0 is 1, so P3 will make it as 0. Okay, P3 will come here. And after that P of M3, M3 is 1, P3 will make it as 0, and after that P3 also entered the critical section. So you see, initially there was a deadlocked, okay, but after swapping these last two lines, we overcame the problem of deadlock. Okay, so it is same as Dynning philosopher's problem. Here in terms of mutex variables and processes, I have explained you. Okay, so I hope this time you got about this Dynning philosopher's problem. Okay, thank you.